And on the 8th day, God looked down on his planned paradise and said, I need a caretaker. So God made a farmer.
Howdy folks, I'm Darren, and welcome to 8th Day Chronicles here at Cross Timbers Farm on this blustery day. And Lola is crowing her lungs out again. We're on the farm today, and it's getting breezy. We've got a storm front rolling in. The local weather people are saying today is the transition day. We've been in the 50s in the last couple of days. Today, it's about 42 degrees right now, and the wind's picking up. A storm front's coming in. They're saying tonight we could expect some snow showers, heavy at times, and you couldn't script this stuff on a farm. They're saying snow tonight, heavy at times, and our temperature is supposed to go from the mid 40s today, tonight to like 12 degrees. And tomorrow our high only like 18, 19 degrees, maybe 20 in some of the different lower spots. Tomorrow our high is supposed to be around 20-ish, somewhere in there. And tomorrow night our low's approaching single digits again, really cold, and then a slow gradual warm up back up into the upper 20s the next day, and then up into the 30s the next day. Why am I saying all that? I like to talk about the weather because we're out in it all the time. But why am I specifically talking about it getting so cold? Today it's not. We had rain. A couple of days ago we had rain. We had good rain. It rained so much it muddied up the lake and I couldn't go fishing yesterday. I had planned to go crappie fishing and the lake was so muddy I didn't, but the ground is moist. You can look around and see our soil is damp. If you have ever considered frost seeding your hay fields or whatever you're wanting grass to grow on, the weather has almost everything to do with that. If you don't time your frost seeding just right, your ratio of how much seed you put out versus what's going to germinate and grow can vary greatly and sometimes be pretty low. If you don't want to till, you don't want to scratch up ground, you don't want to use a no-till drill, you just want to broadcast your seed and let the frost, what we call frost seeding, the freeze and thaw effect, do its thing to pull that seed into the sod to grow, to germinate this spring. I could not sat down and scripted out a better weather pattern to do frost seeding today. We had rain the last couple of days and the ground is really saturated. That's key. There's moisture in all this topsoil. Tonight it's going to drop down into the teens, and they're saying 50 and 60 mile an hour wind gusts tonight. I dread that. I don't mind the cold, I don't like the wind, but it's supposed to be down in the teens tonight. And tomorrow the highs don't even get out of the 20s. Then in a few days, we're going to start back a gradual warm up. One night we're probably going to be single digits. What better time? The freezing temperatures we're expecting in the next 12 to 24 hours to settle in to this area with the moisture that's in this soil right now. it's going to freeze. You're going to start having ice crystals forming in this sod. And when you see that, everybody's probably saw it before. When you go out on somewhere where you can see the dirt, you see it almost, crystallizing, the dirt pushing up, and that ice is what's making, the moisture in that soil is what's making that soil move, because it's freezing and pushing that soil. Spread your seed. When that freezing happens, the ice crystals in that sod, the available moisture, will make that soil start moving, and that seed goes in. When it warms back up, the ice crystals melt, and that sod kind of starts settling back down, and your seed's in the ground. Frost seeding, here on our farm, we've done it for years, and it works phenomenal if you do it at the right time. If you do it on marginal conditions, your results are probably going to be marginal. If you do it when the ground's not going to freeze pretty hard, and then in a few days warm up, and there's not much moisture available in the ground to form those ice crystals to make that soil move, your results are going to be marginal at best. You got to have that available moisture in the sod and in the soil to make it start moving when that ice starts forming and that hard freeze, to start making that soil start moving. Everybody saw it. You get out and walk around somewhere when it's really, really cold, it's been cold for a couple days, you start seeing all those little dirt and ice crystals sticking up everywhere. Then when it warms up, they go back down. The soil is actually moving a little bit. That ice forming in there is causing the soil to push up and spread out a little bit. Then when it warms up, it goes back. And this is in a very micro scale. That's what you're looking for. Available moisture in the soil. If you have really hard freezes and you've been in a super, super drought and the ground is just dry as dust, your results are going to be marginal. Even if you get those cold, freezing temperatures, then it warms back up. You need some moisture in your soil to form those ice crystals, to push that sod really good in that topsoil, open it up to allow that seed to go in. Okay, you don't want to go along and spread your seed 3 days beforehand, before this cold front moves in. The songbirds are going to eat it up like you wouldn't believe. And we allow our chickens to free range, and the chickens will be out here picking up all your hayfield seed, your orchard or your timothy. That stuff's too expensive to feed chickens with. Put it out right before this cold front comes, the day before, if at all possible, hours before. And that way, the wildlife, the songbirds, and if you have farm animals, they're not going to be out here, chickens, scratching around and eating it. We're going to keep our chickens up today. We keep our chickens in a coop and in a coop run morning hours. And the reason we do that is because we want our layers to lay their eggs in the nest boxes where we can get them. Our chickens almost always lay before noon. The mornings is when they're in those nest boxes laying eggs. After about noon, we just turn them out and let them go to foraging, eating bugs, not drugs, eating all the good stuff that makes good eggs. But today, it's almost noon now, and today we are not going to let these chickens out of their run simply because I'm fixing to frost seed our test plot. No better time to do it. If you're interested in frost seeding, and that intrigues you and you're interested in trying it, you've got to have just the right conditions. Watch that weather forecast like a hawk. Wait till you've had rain for a couple of days or melting snow, whatever, to get your ground moist. Then Here comes a cold front that's getting ready to move in with freezing temperatures, and not just 32. You want it to get down in the 20s or teens. Once it gets down to cold, that ground's gonna freeze and form those ice crystals and that moisture that's in that soil. That's when you want to frost seed. If it's gonna get down in the teens that night, later that evening, get out there and get that seed put out where you want it, because the next couple of days when it's frozen and then it warms back up, it's really gonna pull that seed into that soil for frost seeding. Let's get started. Oakley's teaching Waya how to be a livestock guard dog. Okay, we've got us a coffee can, 3/4, maybe a little more than that, full of Potomac orchard grass seed. I've got it in a bigger bag, but this makes it real easy. If you're just gonna be hand seeding some bare spots and you're not doing your whole field, that's what we're doing today. We're just gonna be hand seeding this out of just a coffee can. When it gets empty, I'll go back and fill it up if I need more. On bare spots in our test plot, that's where we're heading to. And I've got Waya and Oakley with me, and Waya is that age where she's under your feet a lot. I hope I don't step on her. I've been trying to teach her not to get under my feet. Okay, we're in spots here where the grass is somewhat bare in places. It needs reseeding. And we're just gently seeding this by hand. And Waya is intrigued by what I'm doing. Puppy, get out from under my feet now. I don't want you to get stepped on. She's getting grass seed all over her. Just broadcasting it by hand. This is really gonna freeze hard tonight and the next couple of days. You can see our bare spots, and this should really help as far as conditions for frost seeding. You couldn't ask for nothing better than what we're getting ready to go into. This is going to be fantastic. You don't want to waste your seed. Don't put it too thick, but put enough to cover it. Because this freezing, thawing soil in the next day or two is really going to pull this seed in. Frost seeding, the test plot's done. We just hit the bare spots is all we did. And the wind's blowing so bad, when you tried to broadcast seed that seed, the wind just carried it. I had to squat way down and put it just about right on top of the bare spots to keep the wind from blowing it away. This storm is incoming. You can just feel it in the air. But it's done, and we did not frost seed any of the lower part of the test plot, our extension, because there's a lot of foxtail in there. And come March or April, whenever the growth season is about a couple of weeks away, we're going to be spraying Prowl H2O herbicide. So I don't want to frost seed anywhere it's going to be receiving that Prowl. But the test plot's really clean and we're not going to have to spray it. So it's been frost seeded. And we'll go from there. Frost seeding, you need 3 elements for successful frost seeding, in my experience. Number 1, you need a moist soil, at least some moisture. You don't want it to be in a drought or just dry as a bone. You want some moisture after a rain. Number 2, you want a hard freeze. Temperatures getting down into the teens or lower at night. During the day, or even a day or two later, you want to warm up to make that soil move. Those ice crystals in that moisture that's in the soil to freeze and push up. Suck that seed in, and when it warms back up, those ice crystals melt and that dirt goes back down, putting that seed into the soil. So we got all 3 coming up. Frost seeding is very temperamental with the weather. You have to watch for those 3 conditions, and when they happen, you have to do it. We've done it out of our broadcast spreader, our pull behind spreader, behind the ATV, and had fantastic results. It's just a matter of the conditions. Like today, we just done this little section in this test plot by hand. We're done with the frost seeding, and the last video, we had a leak in our gas tank on our pull behind bush hog, and an update on that. I done some research and found a new tank for it, relatively inexpensive. It's an aftermarket tank, but it should work just fine. A plastic tank's a plastic tank. So we have removed the old tank. We done that a day or 2 ago, and I'm gonna go get that new tank and we're going to install it on our bush hog. We're here in the barn working on our pull behind Agri-Fab bush hog. Look what I got. A brand new tank. Same measurements. It's not an Agri-Fab brand, it is an aftermarket. But I carefully measured the OEM tank. And this one measures exactly the same. The outlet line is in the exact spot. It mounts the exact same way. And I was surprised that I found this as cheap as I did. This thing was like 25 bucks. And I've got, one thing I still gotta buy is some new fuel line. I did find a piece of fuel line that I have, but it's not enough. But I'm gonna put it on temporarily until I can get to the store after this snow and everything's over to pick up some new fuel line. If you're putting in a new fuel tank, why not just go ahead and replace everything in that system? The fuel lines, the fuel filter. I do have a new filter. And the only thing that I do have is a cutoff valve in the line that's on the old one I'm still going to use, because there's nothing wrong with that cutoff valve, to turn the fuel off from flooding the bowl while it's just sitting. And so I am going to put all this on, and I'm going to probably have to use a little bit of the old fuel line until I can get to the hardware store or my favorite chainsaw store to pick up some new fuel line, and we'll go from there. So let's get started putting this on. Okay, I've assembled my outlet fuel line to the drain on the bottom of the tank, and I've put in my cutoff valve right here and a new fuel filter. Only thing I'll have to do once this is mounted is put the fuel line from the filter over to the carburetor. That'll be it. Let's get this mounted. Okay, new tank is installed. Exactly the way it's supposed to be mounted, with ample space around the plastic and the metal to keep them from rubbing. And it's installed. And the fuel line from the tank out to the filter here is installed. All we gotta do is run a real small piece of fuel line from the filter up to the carburetor inlet. And it should be good to go. Put fuel in it and fire it up. Our fuel line is done. As you can see, this line right here comes from under the tank. It's attached to the outlet on the tank. Here's our cutoff line. There's the fuel filter and running right over to the carburetor. I'm gonna put new fuel line on it just as soon as I make it to a hardware store. Gas tank on the Agri-Fab pull behind bush hog is fixed. Bought a new tank, just got it installed, got all the fuel lines, the cutoff valve, the fuel filter installed. I was going to think about starting it up and just testing it, but I don't want to run it inside this barn, the fumes. So it'll just have to wait for another day. I'm not going to pull everything out just to test run it. When all this incoming bad weather's over, I plan on clipping some fields. And I'll get out here a little earlier than normal to test it to make sure that it's going to run proper. I don't see any reason why it wouldn't. Everything went together really good. Here's the old tank. Look how in bad shape this thing is. Of course, a lot of it's just dirt. And this tank is the original tank. And it's probably just a matter of time. If I JB welded that, it's just a matter of time before there's probably other leaks, just from UV damage, from being out in the sun, pulling it for hours, bush hogging, and it rubbing and things of that nature. So we got bad weather incoming, and we're going to do some things around home to get everything battened down, because they're saying again we're going to get 50 to 60 mile an hour wind gusts, and it in the teens, low teens, possibly all the way down to single digit temperatures incoming. So, you know, that's going to make a wind chill way down there. And I have found that if the National Weather Service issues a high wind warning, where our farm sits on top of a knoll inside of a big old valley, where the wind funnels right down through that valley, if they give out 50 to 60 mile an hour wind gusts, in normal places we can expect 60 to 70. When they say it's going to get windy, it's going to get really windy here. So we're going to batten down the hatches, make sure everything is buttoned up good, make sure the chickens have extra bedding in the coops, make sure our livestock guardian dogs have extra bedding in their dog houses, and make sure the sheep's got plenty of water and hay. That even though they want to eat it, we'll put it out there for them in the shed so they don't have to get out in the wind if they don't want to. But I'm finding out that don't matter to them. They're going to go out and graze regardless. Thanks for being with us. I really appreciate it as we frost seeded and then got our pull behind bush hog fixed, the gas tank fixed. Thank you for being with us, and I really appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, we would really appreciate it if you'd consider that. Thank you for watching. We appreciate you, and I pray God blesses you and your family, and we pray y'all have a fantastic day. Wore out from playing, the little white snowball is. The brown one's wore out from working all night long, guarding sheep. She stays out patrolling the fence all night, sleeps during the day. The little one's just wore out from playing all morning. Oakley's doing a good job training her.